if this song spoke to you, it's probably not in a good way. And this is probably a painful song to hear. Violet's Tale, and it's by REN. I don't know much about this song. It's not even one that many of you have commented to tell me to watch. I kind of picked this on my own. I wanted to see what it was about. So let's give it a go.
London city, far from pretty, 2005. A lady down in Paddington is fighting just to stay alive. Rhythmic beats and bloodstained sheets, our lady weeps, she's tired and frail. To set the scene, we must rewind the hands of time for Violet's Tale.
I'm gonna stop it there for a second. He's a phenomenal guitar player. Look, I played for 30 years. I don't really play that much anymore. I played in the 90s a lot. Did a couple rock albums. I was a lead guitarist. Used to play with my teeth behind my neck, you know, through the legs, do some Jimi Hendrix stuff, did all that stuff. And I used to think I was good, but I can't do any of that now. But watching him play, he's incredible. He's such a talented person, and the melody of this song is interesting. And don't take this the wrong way, because I think it's actually a very cool melody, but the way that it has this little sort of looping, not looping, this roller coaster kind of melody, it feels kind of like a Monty Python feel. In one of their, like the Holy Grail, when they're like singing some of their songs, and then but with it's a serious topic, but it gave me that eerie sort of feel. So it was really cool, and I don't mean that negative at all. That's a in my view, that's a compliment. It's like this dark comedy of sorts, which I don't know if you know much about comedy, but you know, comedy can be born of tragedy. So I want to see what else he has going on, and I want to talk more about the cinematography. Right now I'm seeing a lot of blues. I want to talk about that here in a little bit.
Violet was a silent girl, grew up with violent starts. Her mother was a drinker and her father was a bastard. Every night he took a tie but never left the room. I'll spare you with the things he did, I'm sure her mother knew. Violet was a silent girl, she moved out at 16. A semi-detached council flat, paid for by a welfare scheme. Packing shelves at Tesco, stacking jars like pickled bricks. She met a boy named Stevie and he was a little prick. Violet was a silent girl and Violet she fell fast. See, Stevie was a wrong un, but he sure knew how to charm her. Every night he took her tie but never left the room. History repeats itself, he'd paint her black and blue and she never stood a chance. to dance.
So pretty interesting. You know, this is something some of y'all told me about the way he does his videos. His friend, I guess that's his cinematographer, likes to do these one-take videos, and I think it's pretty interesting how he's doing it. The change in dynamic when he goes from room to room, you can hear an echo in the mic. You know, I think that's kind of his style. You wouldn't typically do that. We would definitely have a more controlled audio system set up. We would definitely have a controlled lighting system set up, and they just kind of don't care. They just are like, we're gonna do our thing, and you're gonna like it or not, and deal with it. And I like that. I think that's just who he is, and I like that about him. So it's what I've come to expect now. Even though this is only the third video, it's kind of what I expect from him. It's just to, this is what I want to do. And but the blues, he's I spoke about this in the last video I did about him. And on their cameras, there's certain ways you can set up for different cinema. And often you'll, in the 5,000 kelvins is where you'll be for like warm, you know, warm tones, like comedy is going to be up in there. But then for, you know, war and drama and stress and angst and this kind of stuff and depression, you're going to be in the 3,000s to maybe 4,000s, but not really in the 3,000 Kelvin, you know, maybe 3,200 on the cameras when you film, so it gets that blue color. So if you ever wondered when you watch something and it's warm, they're shooting in warmer tones on the camera, and when it's in the lighting as well, the lighting has a lot to do with it. And in here, he's using white walls and all these. He's very sterile. They even have his marks on the floor, and they're just like, whatever. There's this mark on the floor. They show you the mark. So it's almost sloppy on purpose. He's almost thumbing his nose at the music institution by just going, watch, this will get 12 million views. I don't need you. And I think I respect that. I mean, I do respect that, because he's just like, you spend all this money, millions and millions of dollars to do these pristine, polished things, and I'm just going to take my buddy and walk through a room and have audio that doesn't match. I'm going to show my floor marks. The lighting's going to be a little bit off, and he probably got paid pretty good for this if he's, you know, monetized. So, I can respect that.
Violet, why are you always so quiet? On her bedroom door and he's irate. He's been drinking and smoking, he's up late. And he stands by her bedside, she shakes, but her eyes stay shut. You fucking slut, I know you're up. And he pinches her eyelids and folds them up. Violet, why are you lying to me, Violet? She stays silent, things turn violent. That's the sound of his fists when they fall like a crashing pilot. Hit like hailstones, one to the collarbone, full force, full blown, blood's black bone, crack, knick, knack, paddywhack, one to the jaw and the tooth spat, detached fist connects and disconnects a bone. A quick deflect to misdirect the blow, but nonetheless his punches met her throat. Such a mess he's left her bruised and broke. Violet, why you always so silent, Violet? Why you such a little liar, Violet? Do you think I want to do this, Violet? In character, she stays silent. Well, say something, Violet. Silence. Fucking say something, Violet. Silence. Wait. Say something, Violet. Not one word. She stays quiet.
I mean, we can talk about cinematography all day long if we want, but the topic is pretty rough. Yeah, you know, I'm going to go back to what I said in a previous video about him. Often I see this label put on him. They call him like a rapper sometimes. And to me, this is more spoken word. Both High Ren and this one are more spoken word to me. More of just a you know, kind of talk therapy of sorts. He's going through a story, and the way he transitions back and forth and then comes in with the music, I think is just brilliant. He's a brilliant man. This topic is hard to hear. I've told a lot of you that I was in mental health work. I was a crisis counselor, and my last case I worked, the one that made me decide to get out, was when I knew that, they, in America we say I don't have my fastball anymore, and the case that made me decide I was done was, and this, I'm gonna keep it as vague as I can because I don't want people's business out there, but there was a lady, and she came in, and I had to prepare her for court, and her husband had done some very bad things to her and a baby. And see, that's me not having my fastball. And as a counselor, you have to be very stoic, and I couldn't. I struggled because she was talking about what the man did to her and the baby, and she had marks all over her. Um, she was she was bruised and battered. You could see, and I had to get her ready for court, and prepare her for how they are in court, because sometimes they can tear her down. I was like, the emotional and physical abuse you just went through, it can happen again in court, and I had to get her ready for that while also dealing with trauma and going through some things like that. And yeah, it was why I decided to not do it anymore, because that I just talking to her, I couldn't sit in the room as soon as she started talking about the kid, and I knew that it just wasn't my game anymore, um, and it was time to move on. And so watching this, I'm sure some of you it hits home. Um, don't it You don't need to share your story in the comments. I'm not going to ask you to do that unless you want to, but really don't. It's not a situation where we need to go doing that kind of stuff. But if this song spoke to you in some way, if this song spoke to you, it's probably not in a good way. And this is probably a painful song to hear. Again, cinematography wise, he's moved outside, so we've got a cool look there. And it's matching the darkness of the tail. We went from light to dark. So as the tail grows longer, we are now dark. So let's finish it out.
London City, far from pretty, 2005. A lady down in Paddington is fighting just to stay alive. The doctor, in a state of shock, saw something here so very wrong. See, Violet, she was pregnant. Poor Violet, she was 9 months gone. Turning to the doctor, Violet broke her silence and she cried, "If I'm to die right here tonight, please let my baby stay alive." The doctor soon regained composure, called the surgeon to come in. As Violet's world turned to black, the curtains closed, the lights went dim. In London City, far from pretty, 2005. A lady down in Paddington just lost the fight to stay alive. A tragedy or a miracle, it happened on these very streets. Two twins aligned side by side. A girl named Jenny and a boy named Screech.
So that's a pretty tough song. Yeah, and the topic is what it is. It's tough. It's not one, for the faint of heart, and I'm sure there's a lot of people that resonates with, not in a fun way. And I feel for you. I hate that you have that in your life. I hate that you have that as a thing that is part of your trauma. And I want to say I hope that you find peace and healing, but that just feels like a shitty thing to say. because how? You know, I mean, I've sat there with people for years, and yes, they do sometimes. And then, it does happen, but it's like to tell you to go do that, it's just how and why, you know? Just it's pretty arrogant of me over here in my freaking white picket fence life to tell you to find peace, so I won't, but I hope you do. Um, yeah. The cinematography, again, my final take on that is that he just does not care what the industry wants to do. It's technically not great cinematography. But I think that's what he's going for. It's the shakiness is fine. He changes colors. He goes from the blue to the white, and then he goes dark, and then in here he comes in and he does sepia. Normally you would, use sepia for nostalgia, or something like that. But he's just walking down the street, doesn't have much choice, so they give what is on the streets, and then he finishes. There's like a little bit of green, and then sort of in this blocked in road. I don't think there was a whole lot of rhyme or reason to the things around him. I think it was just they wanted to do a one shot, and they wanted to just find their spots and be able to go all the way through with the song just for song's sake. And I think his method overall is to just be so independent that he doesn't even care about being polished. And I think that's pretty cool. And I think he should continue in that, because I think this is his style. Um, like somebody like me would probably ruin his music. I would be setting up all these different shots and do all this, and it would be too polished, and it would steal his art away from him. And I think this is his art. We should appreciate that. We should appreciate that not everything has to be, a dude like me sitting there saying, we need to use short side lighting, and where's the key light? You don't always need that. He clearly wants to break the rules. So I say we let him break the rules. I mean, he seems like a great human being, great person. I wish him the best. If this song meant something to you, let me know. Please, again, give me a like and a subscribe if you can. If you want to go find me on other social media platforms, please do. Comment below. Thank you for joining me on this one. It was a tough one, but feel free to comment and tell me what you think. Maybe another song to do. I appreciate you. I love you. Let's move forward.